What's up everyone, this is Donnie aka Elevated and welcome to another video here on Dota Alchemy. In this one we're going to talk about the most misunderstood and poorly executed role in Dota 2. Support is usually where you throw your most inexperienced players, and yet it is a role that often controls the fate of the game within the first 5 to 10 minutes of play. Poor support play has probably lost way more games than poor core play, and that is why we're going to use one of the most consistently good supports as an example for how we can model our own support play in pub games. In this video, we will be watching none other than Fly, the support for Evil Geniuses and official babysitter for Arteezy. In this particular game, he is playing Grimstroke while supporting Clinkz in lane. A good place to start is by looking at starting items. Fly begins the game with a Sage's Mask since his hero Grimstroke wants to cast a lot of spells during the laning stage, both to secure range creeps and also to harass his enemies. He also wants to build into a Ring of Basilius so that Clinkz has unlimited mana to use Searing Arrows both for last hits and harass as well. And Clinkz is not really a hero that wants to build a Basilius himself or any other mana regeneration item that early in the game. Next, let's talk about one of the most important objectives in the laning stage, which is to secure range creeps. When you're laning with a hero like Clinkz, who is both very squishy and has a terrible attack animation, meaning he's very slow in his windup, and even the projectile speed is pretty bad, it's really important that the support secures every range creep early on. If Fly doesn't use Stroke of Fate to kill the range creep, Tusk will inevitably deny them very easily, and the Dire will gain an experience advantage early to help them pressure the weak laning duo of Clinkz and Grimstroke. I wanted to highlight this moment because I think it really describes the mentality that you need to have when playing supports. I see a lot of support players who are too afraid to put themselves at risk or too afraid to die, too afraid to make plays. And that is something that's really going to hold you back as a support because you need to be putting yourself in dangerous situations to make things safer for your cores. Against a high kill potential duo like Tusk plus Snapfire, it can be super easy to feed kills. The Dire lane wants to punish any positional mistake with death, and snowball, pun not intended, the lane into a quickly irrecoverable state. So when Fly does get caught while attempting to stack and pull, he immediately tries to do as much damage as possible to his opponents instead of running away. The fact of the matter is, maybe he could get away, but chances are pretty slim considering they have a decent amount of slow and control, and in either case, he almost certainly dies. But by playing aggressively instead of just trying to run away, he is able to set up his carry with an easy double kill, which is going to drastically shift the tempo of this lane in favor of the Clinkz. Alright supports, let's talk a little bit about Ferrying Items. After Fly dies, he brings his carry several items since he's going back to the lane anyway, and can make the journey much faster using a TP scroll than the low level courier could. This is so important and it's so easy to do because all you have to do is just say, hey carry, or hey offlaner, I'm coming back to lane, do you want to drop anything important that you need right now? Back in the lane, Fly devotes himself to disrupting creep manipulation by the other team. Thanks to the early kills on Clinkz, Tusk and Grimstroke are finding the lane unplayable and have resorted to trying to pull the creep wave and avoid playing the lane entirely. Fly heads over to mess with the creep pull and attempts to aggro the neutral camps into the creep wave. He also makes sure to slow the Snapfire who is pulling the creeps so that she takes extra damage from them and eventually sets up for a kill from the rotating mid hero and the Clinkz as well. While Clinkz finishes farming the creep waves that were pulled out of the lane, Fly heads back to the lane to soak the experience from the incoming creep waves and potentially secure last hits as well. This act of sponging up the forgotten or leftover farm is one of the most important parts of playing support at a high level, because it allows you to avoid falling super far behind without leeching experience and still reach critical items at an early timing. In this final example, I wanted to explain a concept that I get a ton of questions about during replay review and Alchemy Answers and just on our Discord as well, which is that when am I supposed to leave the lane? And so Fly demonstrates this concept perfectly here, where realistically, after getting the carry some levels, and especially when they are off to a good start, supports can help them best by drawing attention away from their lane. In this case, Fly heads towards mid to help with a fight happening there, and then smokes with the position for Earthshaker to head top and help their struggling Axe, as well as create pressure away from the free farming Clinks. The move doesn't immediately pay off thanks to good warding from the Dire side, but because Fly is insistent about creating pressure away from the Clinks and sticks around in the top lane, hanging out in the jungle, eventually the Dazzle ventures out of position and results in a kill, which not only helps to boost the Axe's sluggish momentum in the game, but it also forces people to go away from the carry, who's having a wonderful game in the bottom side of the map. After the fight, Fly further secures the area by dewarding and attempts to claim both the outpost and the bounty runes as well, so timing this type of rotation around the 10-minute mark can be a super game-changing moment for a support. Many support players struggle to leave their carry alone for fear of them dying, but with the proper advantage early, and the intention of forcing enemy heroes to rotate away from the Clinks' lane, the move is actually relatively risk-free. If Clinks does make a mistake and dies, it's either entirely his fault or caused by an even better play from the enemy team to rotate faster. In either case, you shouldn't really feel that bad about it, and hopefully it can remove a little bit of that fear where if you are intentionally trying to move the pressure out of your carry's lane, you most likely will actually make them safer than if you were to hang around and try to babysit them further into the game. I'm going to end the video here because I think that the biggest pitfall in this game is probably the laning stage for the Radiant side, and with a good concept of how to play, Fly has managed to enable a very strong start for his team. A huge majority of pub games are won and lost in the laning stage due to momentum and the crazy instability of player morale in Dota 2. You might not win every game that you stomp the lanes in, but you'll definitely win enough to feel like you're carrying games as a support, and that's a pretty good feeling for people who play a role that traditionally gets looked down on as being one of the harder ones to climb MMR with. So I certainly hope that you'll have those positive experiences and tell me about them down in the comments section below. Thanks as always for tuning in. I hope you have the best games out there. Good luck in them, and we will see you in another video very soon.